Okay, now we're on lesson 4 of Algebra 1. We're reviewing arithmetic. We're talking about numerals and numbers. And I'm going to start over here in this 4.B section. They're talking about natural or counting numbers. So natural numbers are what we use to count with. So we don't start counting with 0, we start counting with 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so then down here we have what they call positive real numbers. They're any number that can be used to describe a physical distance greater than 0. So a fraction, that's a distance greater than 0. This very small decimal number greater than 0. 363 is greater than 0. See how that can be written anyway. Decimals, fractions, regular whole numbers, those are all positive real numbers. You can, it says the number 0 is not a positive number, but it is a real number. So when it says we've got positive real numbers, 0 is not one of them. Okay, and then we have negative numbers. So we could have negative real numbers, which we'll see on the next page. Right here is a negative 7. Negative 7. So it says we say that every positive real number has a negative counterpart, and we call these numbers the negative real numbers. So the counterpart of a positive 7 is a negative 7. The counterpart of a positive 3/4 would be a negative 3/4. And that sort of thing. Okay? If we don't give our number a sign, if we don't have a plus sign in front of this to say it's positive, we just know that it is. But if we want it to be a negative number, we have to put the negative sign. Okay, so now we're talking about number lines down here. And we have this nice little number line that you guys have probably seen. The origin is the number in the middle, or the 0. And then the numbers go up to the right, positive, and negative is on the left. Or you could say bigger goes to the right, smaller goes to the left, because sometimes you don't always have a negative number. And so then they've graphed different things. They graphed and placed on this number line a negative 1/2. That's this little dot right here. It's between the negative 1 and the negative 2. Here they have a positive 3/4. It's about 3/4 of the way between the 0 and the 1. And then they have a positive 2 6/10. That's a little bit more than 2 1/2. So that's why they put that there. So that is pretty self-explanatory with the number lines. Okay, so there is a lot of information in this lesson. And the first thing that we're going to talk about is multiplying and dividing fractions. So here is an example of fractions that we're trying to multiply. Now, when we have these are called mixed numbers, and we need to make them into improper fractions. So 4 1/2 would be like saying, okay, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 1/2 cookies. So 1, 2, 3, 4 whole cookies, and then a half a piece. But I need to know how many half pieces I have total. So I'm going to divide each of these into halves. That's like saying 4 cookies times 2 pieces each. So 4 times 2 is 8. But then I also have to add this piece in. So when you are trying to turn a mixed number into an improper fraction, this is how you do it. You take the denominator times your whole number, and then you add this guy. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 half pieces. So this was, whoops, 9 half pieces. 2 times 4 is 8. 8 plus 1 is 9. So this is 9 half pieces. Okay? We'll do the same thing up here. 5 times 2. 5 times 2 is 10. 10 plus 4 is 14. So now we have 14 fifths. Okay? Remember, that's like saying we have 2 cookies and we're going to divide them each into 5 pieces. That's 2 times 5. That's 10 pieces. Plus you've got 4 here. That's 14. Okay, so now we're going to multiply them across. If you have this is like saying 9 times 14 over 2 times 5. 14 divided by 2 is actually 7. So you can simplify that right there. And you can say, okay, 9 times 7 is 63, 63 fifths. And we want to write it as a mixed number. If we want to write it as a mixed number, we have to take 63 divided by 5, which is 12. And 3 fifths. So both of these are the same thing. One is just written as an improper fraction. One is written as a mixed number. Okay, so here's another example. 3 1/4, but we're going to convert right away. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 plus 1 is 13. 8 times 1 is 8. 8 plus 3 is 11. Now, when you divide, what you do is you change the sign to multiplication, and then you flip this guy around and you do what's called the reciprocal. Okay? So just like in the last problem where I showed you that 8 divided by 4 is 2, you can just take 4 out of both of those, get 2, then you have 2 left. This is 26 out of 11. If you take 26 divided by 11, you'll get 2 with 4 remaining. So then you either have the improper fraction of 26 elevenths or you have 2 and 4 elevenths, but this is your answer. Okay, so in this lesson, they're also asking you to add and subtract, multiply and divide decimal numbers. The important thing about adding and subtracting decimal numbers is that you have your decimals stacked on top of each other. You have your ones in the ones column, your tens in the tens column, your hundreds in the hundreds columns, etc. These can just become zeros, or you can just leave them blank. It doesn't matter. You're not adding nothing because there are no hundredths and there are no thousandths after this. Okay, so 3 plus 6 is 9. 2 plus 1 is 3. 4 plus 4 is 8. 8 plus 1 is 9. This is 20. Carry the 2. 6, 7. So 760 and 939 thousandths is the answer. Okay, so that's, if you add and subtract, you do it just the same way that you do everything else. You just really need to make sure that you have decimal numbers in the right places. Okay, so now we're multiplying. We're multiplying decimal numbers. Okay, we're just going to do it just the way we normally multiply. Okay, then we come down here. Okay, so I just multiplied like you normally do. And now I'm going to add these numbers together. Okay, so I get this really big long number. But these are decimal numbers. And so when you want to figure out, well, where does my decimal go in here? What you do is you count all of the digits that are after the decimal number. And you do that combined all the way together. So for example, this one is after a decimal. This one is after a decimal. This one is after a decimal. This one's after a decimal, which means I need 4 decimal places. Not 2, 4, because you have to include the decimals behind each number. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom. So our number is 302 and 61 thousandths. This guy right here doesn't have to stay because you could put a million zeros behind here and it would still be the same number. So 302 and 61 thousandths. Okay, so now we're dividing by decimals. Okay, so I've written out 4 and 28 thousandths divided by 4 hundredths. These problems that I'm getting, most of them are coming from page 21 on the bottom, the practice problems. This is letter F on that page. If you're going to divide this, you need to not have this decimal over here. So what it's going to be saying is like saying, okay, I want to get rid of my 4 hundredths, so I'm going to take this times 100 and make this just plain old 4. And I'm going to take this times 100 because you have to do it to both, and I'm going to move it over here. So I'm moving my decimals to the right 2 and my decimal over here to the right 2. So it's now 4 and 402 and 8 tenths. Okay, so my decimal moved, my decimal moved. This is what I'm dividing now. Okay, so there's no remainder. Our decimal place is going to stay right there in the same spot, and the answer is 107 tenths. So, adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing decimal numbers. Hopefully this is just review and not too new for you, but just in case, I wanted to show you how to do it. Okay, so the final thing that we are learning in this lesson, I know it's a lot. The final thing that we're learning in this lesson is how to convert different numbers to different measurements. So if I wanted to know how many centimeters are in a foot, or how many yards are in a mile, or that sort of thing, this is what we're talking about. So this example comes from the top of page 22. It's example G. It says use 2 unit multipliers to convert 75 feet to centimeters. Okay, so a unit multiplier is something like this. Saying 1 yard is the same thing as 3 feet. 12 inches is the same thing as 1 foot. 16 cups is the same thing as 1 gallon, okay? So basically you put 1 on top, 1 on the bottom, as long as they equal each other, that's a unit multiplier, okay? Let me do this correctly. Gallon is G-A-L. Okay, so then we're going back here and we're going from feet to centimeters. Okay, so we need to figure out, okay, what do we know we can convert feet into? Well, I know I can convert feet into inches. So I'm going to say I have 75 feet, and I know that 1 foot is 12 inches. Okay? Now, you might be wondering, well, why didn't you put feet on the top and inches on the bottom? Well, that's not going to work. Just think about it. If you have 1 foot and you want to know how many inches are in it, you don't take 1 foot and divide it by 12 and then get 1/12, because that tells you how many feet there are. You take 1 foot and times it by 12 to understand that 1 foot is 12 inches. 1 times 12 is 12. 1 divided by 12 is 1/12. Okay, and there's a big difference between 1/12 and 12. To help you out, your feet, if you were dividing and you said, okay, well, 1 foot over 1 foot is 1, it's like they kind of disappear into nothing. So we're going to keep them 1 on the denominator, 1 on the numerator. Okay, so let's make this back to feet so we can see it. And this right here to feet. Okay, so some of you may or may not know that .54 centimeters is 1 inch. If you didn't, you know now. Okay, so then you needed to know how many inches are in centimeters, because this unit multiplier changes your feet into inches, and this unit multiplier right here changes your inches into centimeters. Okay, now if you do this right, you should have feet, feet, inches, inches that cross out, and the only label that you have left is centimeters. So then you're just going to take 75 times 12 times 2 and 54 hundredths, and that will tell you how many centimeters are in 75 feet. Okay, last example comes again from page 22. It's example H. Use 2 unit multipliers to convert 450 inches into miles. It says go from inches to feet. So we want to go from inches to feet. And then from feet into miles. Okay? So here, 12 inches is 1 foot. 5,280 feet is 1 mile. Okay, so what this means is my inches are going to cross out, my feet are going to cross out. So I'm going to have 450 times 1 times 1 is 450 divided by 12 times 5,280. You can put that into your calculator. You're going to get a decimal number because it's going to be smaller because you're dividing by a big number. And then that will tell you your answer. And it will be in miles.